Good afternoon, everyone. I am so thrilled to have the opportunity today to meet some of the young finalists for the Prince's Trust and TK Maxx and Homesense Awards. It's very, very exciting. We're going to hear from 6 remarkable young people in just a moment who I cannot wait to chat to. But before we get started, I would like to introduce the Deputy CEO of the Prince's Trust, Cornell Jeffers. Good day to you.
Fearne, thanks very much for the invite. Looking forward to this afternoon. It's going to be a great chat.
It is. I'm thrilled about it. The awards are always a very exciting part of the Prince's Trust calendar. Can you just tell us why the awards are so important?
Yeah, I mean, it's the highlight of my year. I've been working in the trust now for over 12 years, and I so look forward to the awards. And this year, the Prince's Trust, TK Maxx and Homesense Awards, they're like every other year. They're about celebrating extraordinary achievements of the young people that have been supported by the trust and their journeys into a positive future. Obviously, it's a unique year for us all. We're doing things a little bit differently, but we're in the final stages of the judging process now. It's still well underway, but we're going to hear from 6 of 23 finalists today. So 6 of the 23 people from across the country that have made it to the finals. And of course, we wouldn't be able to celebrate our young people on such a platform without the help of our sponsors. So on behalf of everyone at the Prince's Trust, massive thank you for that and for the support we've had this year. I mean, I think everybody would agree it's been such a challenging year, and therefore, without a doubt, there's never been a more important time to celebrate the extraordinary things that our young people have done with a bit of support from the trust. We have an opportunity this afternoon to hear about some of the remarkable achievements.
And like you just said there, Ian, we need a celebration more than ever, and we need to hear positive news. We need to hear about people doing really brilliant things, and that is what this is going to be all about today. So I'm absolutely thrilled. So let's meet our finalists and get to know them a bit better. Cordell, let's start off with you, and we'll carry on around the group like that, if that's okay.
Thank you for having me here today, guys. I'm so excited to actually be a part of this. And for me, my name's Cornell Jeffers. I'm from Birmingham. So I started my Prince's Trust journey around 4 years ago. I started on the enterprise program. And the first thing that I launched with my business partner was a clothing line, which was for fitness apparel. And then had some success with that. And then we went on to set up also a social enterprise where we do work with young kids around the country. And I'm also a young ambassador for the Prince's Trust as well, which is always an amazing feature because I get to spread my journey and talk to young people as well, get them involved in the trust. So it's just amazing to be a part of an organisation that has so much impact in young people's lives.
Thomas, over to you.
Hello, my name's Thomas Pemberton. I was born and raised in the town of Blackburn, that's in Lancashire, and I went through the Prince's Trust 3 years ago on the Get Onto programme with the East Lancashire Hospitals Trust, which leads me to current, which is 3 years down the line. I am now on a full-time job in the laundry department.
Atlanta, over to you.
Hi, my name's Atlanta Campbell. I'm a support provider and I've been working with the Prince's Trust since 2018. I approached the Prince's Trust basically in the need of some advice in regards to basic business, and they allowed me to take my idea and actually turn it into a reality. So we now house 4 people and offer support to promote their independence and well-being.
That's so wonderful. Thank you, Atlanta. So nice to meet you. Gabby, over to you.
Hi, I'm Gabby. I'm 19. I'm from Gloucester, and I joined Prince's Trust Young Gloucestershire Team 204 a year ago now, I think. And I just quit my A-levels. I didn't know how I was going to start off my creative media, what I was going to do, and it just opened me up to all of the opportunities that life had for me. So yeah, I'm really grateful to be giving back right now.
My name's Harry Holiday, and I am now a young ambassador like Cordell for the Prince's Trust. I kind of started that, I wasn't intended to do that. I was in my 6th year at school in Scotland and was given the opportunity to be part of a Prince's Trust kind of class that would promote cybersecurity to local businesses and primary schools. And during one of these events, I was lucky enough to meet someone from the Prince's Trust, and they offered me the position of being a young ambassador. So I'm just looking forward to how that's kind of unfolding and kind of grateful to be here for that.
Thank you, that was awesome. And who's up next?
Hello, my name's Cleo. I'm from Cardiff. I'm 20 years old and I started the Princess Trust way back in January, as I recently dropped out of college as I didn't know what I wanted to do, and my anxiety and mental health were in the best place. So I started spending a lot of time on my own, and then the Princess Trust was running a course, get started with cooking, and that was one of my interests, so I decided to go there, and they helped me with my confidence and my self-esteem, and I'm just really grateful, because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be where I am now, which is back in full-time college and starting to follow my dreams of what I want to do.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear it. And it's just wonderful to have you all here today. I'm so happy to meet you, and I'm looking forward to learning more about you and to hear what your experience with the Prince's Trust has been like. So, Atlanta, I'd like to start with you and dig a little deeper. Let's talk about this year. It's been a very challenging year for everybody. What do you think the biggest challenges are facing young people this year?
I'd most definitely say what I've noticed this year within myself and a lot of the people that I support is mental health has had a negative impact on everyone. I think the change, obviously, that the world was not expecting has also added to that. And I think just the uncertainty has just it's almost like there's not an end, or we're uncertain as to when it will end. As well, saying that, it's also brought out a lot of positives because I feel like people are standing up and being more community-based and making sure that people are staying sane. But yeah, so mental health I would say.
I think that's such a lovely point to make, that, there have been these challenges where we are perhaps lonelier, more disconnected from everybody. But like you say, Atlanta, that's made us much more aware of the people around us and wanting to help and wanting to reach out and be part of a community. Any other thoughts on this subject, guys? Even with what you're doing individually, how have you found this year? What challenges have you faced? How about you, Cordell?
At the start with my businesses as well, I had to adjust. My pretty much business was dormant throughout the first couple of months. So obviously that created a massive anxiety in me. And, I would like to say I'm quite a resilient person too. So to have anxiety and stuff like that is something that I'm not used to. So it's definitely something that really shocked my system. So I had to, I had to look within again. So a lot of meditating, a lot of going out in nature and just trying to calm my thoughts down and try and balance my perspective back out. And just to turn the TV off, it was getting a bit too much listening to all the negative news. So I had to switch that off a little bit.
Absolutely. Like you just said there, Cordell, many people are experiencing anxiety for the first time in their lives. It might be something that's completely new to them. And also for people already dealing with anxiety, this has just been a whole heap of other stress. So it's nice to hear that your coping mechanisms have been stuff that we can all do if we set aside a little time, like meditating, like getting out in nature. I think they're two really good tips. So thank you very much for sharing that. Thomas, I'd love to talk more to you about your job with the NHS, because you, as you've said earlier, you got that job through the Prince's Trust and you're happily working there now.
I'm a laundry assistant in the East Lancashire Hospital Trust, which is Blackburn based. We do the laundry for 5 hospitals across East Lancashire.
What has it been like to be a key worker during the pandemic and the intensity of this year?
Been a lot of PPE more added to the lines of work we've got to go through. And then there's the social distancing on the shop floors. And the more we go through with it, the more it seems like normality. And
have you felt stressed or anxious throughout this year, Thomas, with the sort of uncertainty of everything?
I'd say with all the isolation they've put into place, I'd say that's stressful because it affects your well-being. It's like you need to socialise to bring your moods up.
I think one of the worst things about what we've all been through this year is not being able to see loved ones and also worrying about people that are on their own, especially the elderly. It's been a huge concern for all of us. I know that some of you have been volunteering in your local communities. Gabby, I'd love to know more about your community project. Could you expand on that for us?
For our final team challenge, we did a 3-course meal for the homeless people in Gloucester City homes. I think we took about a week actually planning it all and all of the events and even the structure, the way we were going to serve them and make them feel loved and cared for. I think it was quite emotional as well for a lot of people in our team, because a few of us actually had nearly been homeless or were homeless. So there's that empathy there as well.
I mean, that must have been just such an incredible experience to be part of a team in that way, and to, you know, go through the process of putting together a massive project like that. I'm sure that you came out of that feeling massively inspired to do more. Cleo, how have you found it? Do you enjoy socializing digitally? Because that's what a lot of us are having to do. You know, right at the start on lockdown 1, we were all on these like house party apps and Zoom, doing pub quizzes or whatever. I mean, I didn't do so much of it myself, but we have all to some extent, you know, had to transfer our social life onto screens. How have you found that?
Well, I was lucky in a way because I come from quite a different background. I was in the local authorities, I was in a care system. So my lockdown part when I was actually in a hostel with other people. So obviously I missed my friends. My friends, like, I with them every day. Like, we never go a day without seeing each other. So it went from my mental health being like up here to straight down, like not seeing my friends, not being able to see my family, just living in the 4 walls. But then on the positive side, at least we had the other people I lived with, and we bonded, and like obviously the community around us, because we were classed as less fortunate and other people, they came and like donated stuff to get us through. So it was really nice to see the way the community could support you and understand that actually they're in quite a different environment. But I'm more of a people person. I like going there in person and just being in present instead of online, because it's just not the same.
I think that's the challenge that we've all, you know, been dealt this year, is trying to make really great connections without being in the same room, and it is slightly odd. But Atlanta, how have you found that element of not being able to, you know, socialize in big groups, see people that you really want to see face to face?
I think for me, if I'm completely honest, like the first lockdown, I absolutely loved it. Reason being, I'm quite a natural, like, antisocial person anyway. So I kind of just used it as an excuse to stay in. But in regards to the tenants that I support, it did become quite difficult because a lot of people that are housed don't have, you know, an iPhone or things like that. So eventually I had to force myself to engage in like virtual meetings and things like that. But I think overall, I'd have to kind of say lockdown and having to, you know, change, it has made me grow as an individual, because whereas before I'd never FaceTime or have a virtual, like a Skype meeting or anything like that. So it's kind of forcing me to unlock doors that I didn't know were there. So good and bad, I would say.
Harry, how are you finding that side of things?
Well, you know, I'm quite a people's person. I like getting out there and talking to just about anyone I can like see. So it's been a bit of a challenge for me. But I've got my Xbox hooked up, and I've got like my wee party chat that I can talk to my mates on whenever I need to. So I'm doing as best as like really anyone else can. At the moment, my only kind of socialising is going to work or going to the shop for my gran. At the minute, so that's really it. But it's difficult right now.
It's good that you're looking after your nan. That's very, very important. Ian, I know that the Prince's Trust have moved a lot of programmes over due to COVID to be a digital programme and move them onto screens. What's that been like for you? And what is the Trust doing to support young people through this challenging time? Have you had to kind of create new measures, you know, considering that we're living through a global pandemic?
It seems like years ago, but if you go back to the start of the pandemic, we sort of thought it would last a few weeks and would all be done. So initially, all our execs, they just literally started using the phone, the good old-fashioned phone, and they were talking to young people that were engaged in programs. And then as we got more into lockdown, you know, we developed that to start to do one-to-ones using technology. So we did more well-being calls in that first couple of months than we would normally do, because normally a young person would be coming into centre, or they'd be sitting in the school chatting to somebody. So really up that side of things. And during the first lockdown, we talked to or had conversations, structured conversations with over 7,000 young people. And the feedback was amazing, both from the young people and the staff, who were just talking about the ability that for many young people, it was the only person to talk to outside of their little family group that they were bubbling with. So that was really key. Now going forward, we're doing lots of group activities online. We started to develop whole content online, particularly for things like employability. What we have seen is there's a real happy balance, because majority of young people are saying, yeah, it's great doing stuff online, but just what Harry said there's nothing beats a bit of interaction, a bit of sitting in their classroom or sitting in the meeting room, having a conversation, chatting about the night before, whatever it may be. So it's striking that balance. But one thing that has surprised me really well is the enterprise program. The number of young people from places we wouldn't have been able to reach geographically, so they couldn't have maybe come into the centre in Birmingham or in Bristol, and they're now doing the enterprise program online. Year to date, nearly 2,000 young people are taking part in the enterprise program, which is fantastic. So hopefully a little bit of good comes out of this, and we will continue to develop products or services we can deliver online. But let's strike the balance, because we all want to meet people occasionally as well.
I agree with you that there are real positives, and that we've really sort of started using technology to connect with people that we definitely wouldn't have been able to reach previously. You know, I've even found that in my own small way on the podcast. And I really want to talk more about the enterprise program, because Atlanta, I know that you set up this fantastic business with the support of the Prince's Trust. And I'd like to learn a little bit more about that process. How was that for you, working alongside the Trust to set up a brand new business?
I feel like my experience is quite similar to everyone's, in the sense of it's literally the best thing that I've ever done for myself. When I actually approached, it was a 4-stage process. And when I approached them, they explained what obviously I'd have to do. Stage 2 was just a lot of information on the basics of business, like how to set up and things like that. And I think with myself, like where I kind of thrived in that course was the one-to-one meetings with a mentor. I haven't got any sort of business background. Like, I don't know anyone that has their own business. So being able to sit down with someone one-to-one and then give me feedback was amazing. And just the constant support I had throughout, as I said, turning my idea into a reality. They just gave me the information regarding business that I needed, and financially, they obviously helped my startup. And before I knew it, I'm going and supporting my tenants. So it is literally one of the best things I've done. And anyone that has a small idea, I'm like, go and do the enterprise program. Like, it's the best thing you'll do.
It's so cool. And I think the mentor element is so exciting, because starting up a new anything, but certainly a business, is not easy. And there are always going to be bumps in the road. There's always going to be things that turn out well and things that don't. And I'm imagining that was a really key relationship for you.
Just goes to show, like, the consistent, support can allow you to grow if you're willing to engage. And as I said, the enterprise program is the best thing that I've ever decided to do with my life.
So wonderful to hear that story. And Cordell, I'd love to hear more about your business now, but you've already touched on it slightly and told us a bit about it. But I'd love to know, I guess, your advice that you would give to other young people out there who have got what they know is a great idea, but they just don't know what to do next. What are the first steps, and what are the tips that you would give people?
Definitely. I think that what the Prince's Trust do with young people, especially coming into the enterprise program, is you might come with an idea, but you always have these little limitations, these little doubts. I might not be able to do it. Do I have the money? Have I got the right people around me? But what the Prince's Trust do is they break down the limitations that you have, and they just basically say, you've got an idea and you can make it reality. Do you know what I mean? So I think for young people, I think the most important thing is write down your ideas. Just have that self-belief. Really do engage with the trust, because the trust is going. It's a massive vehicle. To have a lot of people that can help you, but you have to engage. Like Atlanta said, you have to be really on it, basically, to engage and want to put your ideas across. But the Prince's Trust will help you, and to just give you that self-belief, just to think you can conquer the world. And I'm not going to lie, that's ever since I started that Prince's Trust program, my mindset has completely shifted. Do you know what I mean? Anything that I know that I have in my mind, I can have in my hand, ideally. Do you know what I mean? Because I have that strong belief and that certainty. And I think that's what the Prince's Trust can do for young people.
You've just mentioned something that I think is so important, and that is, building self-esteem and building confidence. Do you all feel like working with the Prince's Trust, whether you did the enterprise program or not, that you've seen a confidence boost in yourself? How about you, Gabby?
I actually joined the Prince's Trust because it was like the last option before I didn't know where I was going. And yeah, it turned out to be the most beautiful synchronicity because my confidence is just like, I can't, if you saw me last year, like I wouldn't be having this conversation with you. I wouldn't have been able to uphold this without like major anxiety. Like it was definitely like a massive defining point for deciding to take that leap of faith and join the team.
So good to hear that, and it's so important to I think to chart your own progress as well. You know, I've had big dips where my confidence has just totally gone and I've literally been at ground zero, like there is none. And then it incrementally builds up with the support of people. And, you know, for you guys, that's been the trust. Cleo, do you think that your confidence has built over time with the trust?
Definitely. Like I dropped out of college because my confidence weren't 100% and I was just lost in what I wanted to do. So when I went to the Prince's Trust for the first time, I had to be taken by my support worker and I was just shaking like a leaf. Wouldn't speak to anyone. I would just sit there and just like nod my head. But then as the days went on, my executive was amazing with me. She sat me down, we had one-to-ones that brought me out my shell. And 100% without the Prince's Trust, I would not be back in full-time college with an idea in my head of what I want to do and how I'm going to get there. I would not be having this phone call at all. I'd be just shaking and not saying nothing. But they've really brought me out my shell, helped my confidence and helped me deal with my anxiety so much better.
Oh, that's so good to hear. It's so good to hear. I mean, I feel buzzed up with confidence and positivity myself just listening to this. I think it's massively inspiring to hear your stories. What I'd love to do now is to ask each of you what you're most proud of, the thing you're most proud of that you've achieved this year with the Prince's Trust. Let's start with you, Thomas, and then you can nominate somebody else in the group and we'll go round everybody.
Oh, that is a good question. Get the Prince's Trust getting me into actual discussions has got to be an achievement because I'd have never seen myself doing this years ago.
Yeah, good for you. I love that. That's the best thing, isn't it? Just having great chats and having the confidence to have these sorts of conversations. It's a brilliant thing, Thomas. Who would you like to go next?
I'd like to nominate Cornell.
I think one of my biggest achievements this year is there's been so many achievements because when you engage with the trust, honestly, they put you on a different platform. It's just incredible. But I'd say probably I done a talk for HP, which was a computer company, and that was pretty amazing. And it was just really about training their interns on the Prince's Trust values and obviously sharing my story. And they was becoming managers, so that's one. And yeah, there's many others. And obviously getting put for an award. Obviously I haven't won it yet, but even just being in the fire up, obviously that's an amazing achievement as well.
Oh, it certainly is. It's a lovely thing. Who would you like to go next?
I would like to ask Harry.
Well, up here it's been quite locked down, so I haven't had a lot of opportunities to actually like go out with the Prince's Trust and do many talks. But I did make a short video for a dinner that was happening for a few of the Prince's Trust partners, just talking about my story. And I kind of thought to myself while I was doing that, I was doing like take after take after take because I wanted to get it right. But I was just kept thinking to myself, see, like last year or 2 years ago, most importantly 3 years ago, I wouldn't have done anything like that. I wasn't walking out my house like 3 years ago to do anything like this. So the fact that I can like sit down and like put a shirt on and be like, oh, this is my story. Thank you for listening. Like I think that's a big achievement. It's a big step up from where I was, and I'm just really grateful to the Prince's Trust for like helping me find myself like that.
Every achievement I've done with the Prince's Trust is like a proud moment. Like I've never thought I would be going caving or going like gorge walking and stuff like that. Like I'm such a safe person. Like I don't really go out my comfort spot a lot at all. So like with their help and their encouragement for you, there's just like the encouragement you get from them. It's like you could tell they genuinely care. Like especially this award, like it goes to show like it can happen to anyone if you go to the Prince's Trust. Like never in a million years I think I'll be sitting here giving this talk, but like the Prince's Trust has opened so many doors for not just me but other people, and everything you achieve with them, it's just something to be proud of. Alanta, do you want to go next?
Last year, anything that the Prince's Trust like put forward for myself to engage in. I kind of shied away from it as much as I could, because I think I used to worry too much about how I would actually engage, or I was scared about messing up a word in a sentence. Whereas this year, I've kind of just got that has come with working with the Prince's Trust, but I've got the confidence to actually put myself out there and engage with any opportunity that is given to me. So yeah, I think just, believing in myself and being confident in what I stand for has allowed me to take on any opportunity that has been offered. Gabby, please.
Thank you.
It's exactly like what you said, Cleo. Like, I never imagined myself caving or like rock climbing or going bodyboarding in the sea. That was massive for me, because like I don't know what the ground is, and it's just symbolic of like the fear of the unknown. And I feel like every defining moment of the Prince's Trust like changed me in such a way that now just ripples out into my whole life. And like, I mean, I moved into my own flat yesterday. I finally made it with my supported living. I'm a support worker now. It's like a year ago would not be seeing me now like this. And like, I can like really safely say that if I hadn't joined Prince's Trust, I don't know whether I would be having this same story now.
Oh, and well, happy housewarming. Like, how wonderful you have your own place. That's a beautiful.
Thank you.
What are your plans for the future?
In terms of like the future for me, like, I think the Prince's Trust really set me up like for the lockdown, if that makes sense. So like going into the Prince's Trust was me jumping into the unknown, and then obviously all of this craziness happened like this year. So I just feel like I found out who I am, and like I've started doing like yoga, dance, like tuning into my body more, sharing my artwork. And I just know like I didn't know who I was when I started Prince's Trust, and like now I can sit here in a much more grounded space, like knowing a little bit more who I am and like what my goals are. So I'm just kind of going with the flow right now, like whatever feels creative and in tune with myself.
What are your plans for the future, Harry? What have you got long-term goals?
Well, I've got kind of like my abstract plans. I'm actually hoping to talk to someone about the enterprise program after this, because I kind of want to start my own business, but that's kind of like in the future. I'm currently doing an HNC in cybersecurity at Glasgow City College.
I love that. Good plans for the future as well, Harry. Thank you so much for that. Cleo, what are your plans for the future?
Well, obviously, I've been in care all my life, and sometimes you feel like you're alone, like there's no one there to support you. So when I went to the Prince's Trust, I wanted to become a support worker. So the help they gave me, I've now got my mindset on being a support worker to make sure that the future generation don't feel alone, and to know just because you've come from a different background or a different culture, it doesn't mean you're any different. It doesn't mean you won't achieve anything in life, because we're all the same and we all can have the same opportunities as long as you engage and believe in yourself and keep pushing, because there is times where like you think you can't do it, but as long as you push through that and keep engaging with the Prince's Trust, who's been an amazing support to me throughout lockdown, you know that anything is possible. So that's what I'm sticking to now, is being a support worker and giving back the way Prince's Trust have helped me.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing, Cleo. Thank you so much for sharing that. You know what? I knew this was going to be nice, but I have so enjoyed hearing your stories, getting to know you a bit better, just hearing about the boost that you've all had from the Prince's Trust. It's what makes being an ambassador just so special, is hearing these stories. It's wonderful, and I can't thank you enough for sharing your story, sharing your achievements and your time with us today. It's been an absolute delight. So thank you so much, Cleo, Gabby, Thomas, Atlanta, Cordell, Harry. It's been so nice to meet you today. Ian, I'm going to hand back over to you to round off this really lovely conversation today.
Fearne, thank you. What a brilliant afternoon. Such incredible finalists. You really are. So on behalf of the Prince's Trust, Cordell, Thomas, Atlanta, Gabby, Harry and Cleo, thank you so much. Just before we do wrap up this session, I want to say a few big thank yous to some really special people in our community, because we've got fantastic supporters. We're a whole group of colleagues working away. who passionately believe in what they do to support young people, and of course our volunteers. And together, all of us together have supported over 1 million young people across the country since the trust was set up. So it's an amazing achievement, and it's only with the passion, and you've heard some of that today, and the support that we're able to offer the lifelines that really do make a difference. And then when we turn to the awards themselves, we've got some brilliant category sponsors who make things like today possible. So we've got Dell Technologies, Delta Airlines, Watches of Switzerland, NatWest, Essential, HSBC, and Homesense are headline sponsors. Of course, we've got TK Maxx and Homesense in there, who've been really devoted partners with us over the last 4 years. So on behalf of all of us, massive thank you to you as well, Fearne. Really brilliant at hosting it today. Thanks very much for all of that, guys, and for future awards.